Welcome to Secrets from the Saddle podcast. I'm Sylvie, your host, fellow cyclist, bike club founder, cycling coach, bike race junkie, just truly super passionate about cycling. My journey with cycling started 20 years ago when I opened a spin studio, started a women's race team, and founded a women's only cycling club called Cycle Fit Chicks. I'm super thrilled to reveal all aspects that make the world of cycling operate. I'm so excited to be able to bring you interesting people from around the world, pro cyclists, recreational cyclists, coaches, event organizers, bike shop owners, everything and everyone you need to know or ever wondered about when it comes to cycling. I know you'll enjoy this episode. All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Secrets from the Saddle, all things cycling podcast with your host, Sylvie here. And I am just sort of like hanging out. Well, not hanging out. I'm doing this quick little video or episode today because my Dow Training Systems clients, well, a bunch of us, are going on a little road trip. So shout out to Maddie, who joined my training group for the next 8 weeks. I think she's in there for a little longer to be ready for the spring. We've all got great goals. There's about 15 of us and a lot of like just general fitness. So I've also had more people. Let's just stay back to Maddie because she has been a regular listener and dedicated podcast listener of the podcast, and she joined based on what I've been talking about with regards to training. So shout out to you, Maddie. Thank you for believing in me and the program, and she is already killing it. She's signs in from Toronto. And just a little bit about the program. It comes up where we started in October, but that doesn't mean you can't start for the next 8 weeks. You can put in some good training with regards to getting yourself ready for April. And a lot of us have goals and events starting in April, right? So wouldn't it be good to not be on the struggle wagon and be ready for, say, like Barry-Roubaix or Paris to Ancaster, which is 2 Canadian and American events that start in April. So she joined, and what we do for new members, we start them off at 4 hours of cycling a week. That doesn't include some strength training and yoga. That's entirely up to you to put that into your schedule. However, we highly recommend it, and we share our weekly training plans outside of what we do in the program every Sunday to keep ourselves accountable, because we always go into the week with good intentions, and then we get handed a curveball and some of the training doesn't happen. So then it's like what we were planning to what actually happened is what we need to look at. And there's no doubling up. We just keep rolling forward. So she's joined us from Toronto. And the program is out like 4 hours. So Tuesday night, we have a chat room in our Facebook page, and we work on, in ZWIFT, either an event once a month, or I pick one of the workouts. So this is the time to not cheat, and because using ZWIFT is a great way to get that time in, and you're not cheating, right? Because it hands it to you, and you've got to and you adjust it according to your training zones, which we help you out with. Everybody does map tests. I'm going to talk about that in a second. And then Thursday nights is the cycling skills. So that's where I go over, pedal stroke efficiency, hill climbing, form, things like that make you better. and stronger as a cyclist. And then on Saturday morning, we have another Facebook chat room. We pick a route and we do a group ride. Now, once a month since January started, we've been organizing a 100K effort. Once a month, we organize a 100K effort for those who want to get in 100K before April. And we've had 8 people who've done it, which is amazing. We did it in January, and we just finished our February one. We're going to have a March one. And but those who don't feel like doing that, you join the group ride and you can bounce out whenever you like. So I encourage people to at least do 90 minutes to 2 hours, moving from our regular 1 hour workout. So group rides are for those longer, more fun groups rides. And so that's what we've been doing. And now the group that has done all the fall training, we are now increasing our ride time to 6 hours. So that's where I coordinate 4 hours and everybody is in charge of finding an extra 2 hours of time to ride, whether it's tacked on after or little bits every day, which is kind of a better deal, I think, to do that way. So anyways, big goals. So let's talk about map testing. And then I'm going to share with you our road trip. So if you're interested in jumping in, the price is prorated now because we finish in April. So you can jump in at a really good deal and join us for the rest of the 2 months until we get out for some consistent cycling training so that you'll be ready for April. So go to cyclingskillspro.com and you can check out the details there. All right, now map testing. Map testing, yes, we just finished a map test last night. And that was our 3rd map test in the program for those who've been here with us since October. So we started with one, we did one before Christmas, and now we have one, and then we'll do our last one at the end of our program. And, I'm talking about myself because I was coordinating it last night, and it was kind of cool because I had everybody's screens up and I could watch and I could coach and I could cheer. Last night we got some really good numbers and improvements, like shout out to Carl, who's another avid podcast listener, who went from 220 to 280. He finished his map test. So map test is maximum aerobic power test over the FTP test, so it's functional threshold power test. Map test is a 3-minute effort with 90 RPM, and you increase your watts 20 watts every segment, every 3 minutes it goes up. So this is so if you were to go professional coaching and training, this is how they would test you. So it's a little bit different from the map test that ZWIFT puts you on. It's just 30 seconds. Can you hold this? Yeah. Okay. Then that's your new FTP. This is a little bit more realistic. What can you really hold for 3 minutes? So I guess I'll talk about myself because I started at 220 and my second test, I did 200. I couldn't push it. And then I finished at 210 this morning. I tested myself this morning at 5:30. And, sometimes you just oh my God, what the hell is going on, right? I need to do more. Well, I could get into that bandwagon. But I'm honestly think that, I'm doing the times. I probably don't push myself as much or as hard as I could. I've always been kind of that mid of the road kind of training individual. I'm not an A personality, for sure. I know that. So I don't try and, and be that person. Because I get it. We're always like, oh my God, we could put all sorts of excuses out there not to do these kinds of trainings. But at the end of the day, when we're really trying to work on our performance and our improvement, I think that just being consistent is the best policy. But being consistent with focus. So each one of our training rides has a focus, and everybody who does an extra 2 hours is a zone 2 focus with 90 RPM. RPM meaning rate per minute. That's your pedal stroke efficiency. So it's not like an extra 2 hours that's like 70. That is not going to make you stronger or faster or anything. Or if you end up sitting on your trainer and, being on social media at the same time, that's not going to do it either. So I believe I'm putting in the time. I might not be the fastest, but I feel that I'm pretty consistent. And I just have to think about that, like, in my mind, because I'm like, as you might know, if you're following me on Facebook or YouTube, and now into TikTok, I'm going to be talking a lot about Unbound XL and what I'm doing and learning now to get myself to the finish line, because I do not want to DNF. I've never DNF'd in a race. Where's some knock on wood? And that wasn't my doing. It's just about being smart. Really, I've been listening to, let's talk about Unbound XL for a second, because we're going to bounce, and then I'm going to finish off with our Velodrome road trip that's happening today. So the more I listen to podcasts, and the more I'm like, okay, I just need to be consistent. I need to be smart, not get bogged down with too much of the details and thinking that I can go off like a banshee at the beginning and expect to last for 500 kilometers. It just ain't going to happen. And I hope they don't change the route this year, because everything I'm listening to is based on the route from last year. But if you want, listen to my podcast episode with Christy Mahone, who is one of the coordinators of Unbound. She was on the last episode. That was a good talk. I was really glad to have her on the podcast. So just slow and steady. And I'm just thinking about what I'm going to be doing in April once we get outside. Now, let's go on to some fun stuff. So I'm just not going to bog myself down with, am I doing well? And also, I was sitting there looking at my ZWIFT profile, and you know how it says like your highest FTP or your watts and your 3 second, your 20 second, your 3 minute. I'm like, those numbers never get better compared to like the first time I got on ZWIFT and did a race. Since then, I've sucked. And that was like 2 years ago. So, I kind of get depressed when I look at that, but I'm just like, you know what? I can't be letting that get to me because I know what I need to do. So if you're like sitting on your ZWIFT and going, oh my God, I'm just not getting better, like just shake your head and just say, hey, pat yourself on the chest and go, I am doing what I need to do to ride, and it's consistent and it's targeted, and screw those fucking numbers. Right? So I just want to give everybody grace, and especially myself, when I look at those numbers and saying, oh my God, I didn't get a PR, I didn't get a PB, I'm just on my bike doing what I need to do to have a great season and keep myself healthy and injury-free. And that's what counts. So let's move on to our velodrome. So super exciting. The Bromont Velodrome opened on last November. I was there for the opening. And it is beautiful. So I have never ridden on a velodrome of that size. I've been to Forest City Velodrome in London a number of times with groups, and that is a super tiny 180 meters, 280 meters, something like that, inside a skating rink. So it's pretty fast, but it served the purpose. It was amazing for just trying and getting into cycling, into track riding and learning how to ride a velodrome, learning how to ride a single track bike without killing yourself. So now I'm super excited to be on a big official velodrome. And it's super exciting that now that we have one that's local to Montreal and Ottawa, we don't have to travel 7 hours. We can just travel 3. And it's a road trip between me and a bunch of ladies from my Dow Training Systems group. We have one girl who flew in, that's Jen, from Toronto to join us, which is so fun. So I'll be picking everybody up at noon, and we'll be heading there. So stay tuned. I'm going to hopefully do a live from there, and maybe an episode with everybody. Oh my gosh, wouldn't that be fun? So none of them have been on a velodrome, so we're all going to be doing our level 1 and level 2, I believe. You have to do those before you're allowed to ride freely on the velodrome. So everybody has to go through a program, which is totally understandable. And then away we go. So we're going down where everything is happening tomorrow on Saturday, in the morning, in the afternoon. And then we are organizing a potluck or like a supper, because we're staying on site at the lodging, which is super cheap, by the way. And then we are scheduled to go downhill skiing at Bromont on Sunday. So we have been really blessed with some decent weather now, warming and melting. So that should prove for some really good ski weather. And if it doesn't, well, we'll just maybe go back to the velodrome and ride our bikes. But until then, that's what I just want to share with you. Switch it up, make it exciting, get out of your house. There's got to be something around that you can engage yourself in, and go for it. Grab some friends. I'm super excited about this. I think we might try and do it again, but coupled with some group riding on Sunday around the Sutton area, which is amazing. I've done many races around that area, so I know some of the routes. And so have an amazing weekend. And don't forget to go check the last episode with Christy Mahone about Unbound. Send me some love about my training. Just say, Sylvie, it's okay. Get out of your head. You're good. And just watch socials for some fun videos. Go and follow me on Facebook. It's in the description below, or TikTok. And follow the YouTube channel for sure, mine and the podcast. So with that, have an amazing day. Thank you for being such amazing listeners and loyal listeners to the podcast. I'm going to have some exciting episodes coming up this month and into March. So
thank you so much for spending this time with me on the Secrets from the Saddle podcast. Learning more about sighting people, places, and things that make cycling such an exciting sport. I am so glad you stopped by today. Please leave me a review if you feel so moved to do so. I would love to hear your feedback. And if you could take 1 second to share this episode with someone you think would enjoy it, I would be forever grateful. Also, if you could please leave me a review if you feel so moved by going to iTunes and leaving me an honest thought and an honest comment, telling me what you think, and most importantly, tell me what you'd like to hear more of. It would really help me to bring more great, inspiring cycling stories to you. Until then, Have an amazing day. Make sure you ride your bike. And don't forget to visit my YouTube channel if you'd like to see the full version of this podcast live.